Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that's on every parent's mind. Look, we all want our kids to succeed, right? But what if real success isn't just about report cards? What if it's about raising resilient, compassionate, and just plain capable human beings? That's right, we're talking about life skills.
So check this out. A recent survey of over 3,000 Indian parents uncovered something really fascinating. A massive 94% of parents believe that teaching life skills early on is absolutely essential. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Only 23% are actively teaching these skills at home. That is a huge gap between what we believe and what we actually do.
So yeah, what gives? What's holding us back? I mean, maybe it just feels like one more thing to cram into a schedule that's already packed with homework and classes. Or maybe, we just don't know where to even begin. Well, that's exactly why we're here. Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial shift in how we think about this. See, life skills aren't some extra subject you have to teach. The real secret? It's seeing those everyday challenges your kid faces not as problems, but as these amazing built-in teachable moments. Let's break down what that actually looks like at different ages.
All right, let's start at the very beginning, the early years, from about age 3 to 6. Now, this is an absolutely critical time. I mean, up to 90% of your child's brain gets wired up by the time they're 5. This is where we lay the groundwork for emotional intelligence.
Okay, so let's meet Arav. He's 4, and he's just come home from preschool completely falling apart. He's having one of those classic big feelings that can totally swallow up a little person. He felt so angry because he couldn't play with the toy he wanted. We've all seen this, right? The meltdown. So what does his mom do in this moment? Well, instead of just shutting it down or saying, "Stop crying," she actually gives him the words for what he's feeling. "Wow, it sounds like you felt really angry." Just that simple act of naming it helps him feel heard. Then she introduces a super simple tool. They call it the angry bubble. They just take a big deep breath together, blow all that anger into an imaginary bubble, and then watch it float away. And later, just to really let it sink in, she tells him a little story about 2 birds learning to share.
You see what just happened there? That wasn't a lecture. It wasn't a formal class. It was just a small, loving moment that gave Arav a real, practical tool to handle his own big emotions. And that's a tool he can use for his entire life. This is literally how you build emotional intelligence, one tiny bubble at a time.
Okay, let's jump forward to the middle years now, say ages 7 to 12. This is when their world really starts to expand. You've got school, friendships, and, oh yeah, the inevitable comparisons start to creep in. This is when kids face their first real bumps in the road, and our job shifts from being the director to being more of a coach.
So let me introduce you to Neha. She's 10. She had to give a presentation in class, but she got nervous, stumbled over her words, and a couple of kids giggled. She came home just crushed, completely humiliated. And her reaction is what you'd expect. "I am never speaking in front of the class again."
Now, this is a make or break moment, and her dad's response is everything. He doesn't just dismiss her feelings and say, "Oh, don't be silly." No, he starts with empathy. "Wow, I know that must have felt just awful." And once she's calmed down a bit, then they switch into problem-solving mode. They break down what went wrong, figure out it was just good old-fashioned nerves. So what's the solution? Practice. They start doing these little mini speeches at home, building her confidence back up bit by bit in a place where she feels totally safe. And the lesson here is so powerful. Neha's learning that a setback isn't some final judgment on who she is or what she's capable of. It's just a problem that you can analyze and solve. And that is the very core of a growth mindset, turning those moments of failure into fuel for resilience. All right, now for the big one, the teen years. The stakes are definitely higher now. Peer pressure is at an all-time high, and they're really trying to figure out who they are. Our role has to change again. We become less of a coach and more of a mentor. And maybe one of the most important skills we can help them with is assertiveness.
Let's talk about Karan. He's 17, he's at a party, and boom, someone offers him a drink. It's that classic high-pressure moment every parent worries about. But Karan? He's ready. He's got a simple, confident line prepared. "Nah, I'm good. I'm driving tonight." He's not rude. He's not preachy. He's just firm. So how did he pull that off?
so smoothly? Well, it wasn't because his parents gave him a bunch of lectures. Nope, they strategized with him. They actually sat down and talked through scenarios just like this one before they happened. They even helped him brainstorm a few easy outs he could use. See, the goal wasn't just to forbid something. It was to give him a game plan so he could deliver that no with real confidence.
And that is the real goal, you know? It's not just about getting your teen to mechanically say the word no. It's about building up their own internal conviction so that they actually feel confident in that choice. It's about self-respect. It's about having the strength to stick to your guns, even when it's not the popular thing to do.
So when you look at these stories, Arav, Neha, Karn, you start to see the bigger picture. Each of these little moments, helping a toddler manage their anger, coaching a kid through a failure, planning with a teen, they're not just random isolated events. They're the literal building blocks that create a capable, confident adult.
And this really shows how our role as a parent has to change over time. Think about it. In those early years, we're kind of the director, right? We provide a lot of structure and guidance. Then as they grow, we become the coach, cheering and guiding from the sidelines. During the teen years, we shift into being a mentor, offering our wisdom and experience. And then finally, the ultimate goal is to become the advisor, just a trusted resource for the awesome young adult they've become.
So when it all boils down, what really matters most? First, it's about those small, consistent moments. They add up way more than some big, grand gesture. Second, it's about modeling the behavior you want to see. Our kids are always watching. Third, it's about trusting your child's own unique path. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it's about learning to see every single challenge not as a headache, but as a priceless opportunity to teach a life lesson. I'm going to leave you with a thought that's really powerful, and honestly, a little counterintuitive. Parenting is pretty much the only job in the world where your ultimate goal is to make yourself obsolete. Think about that. If you do your job really well, you raise someone so capable that they don't actually need you anymore, but they will always, always want you. And really, that's the whole point, isn't it? To give them the tools they need to navigate their own lives with confidence and with heart. So ask you this, as you go about your day, as you interact with your kids, what teachable moment are you going to find? What moment will you create today? Thanks for joining me.